and see, from the side, just download the assignment, do it in your rough notebook, just take the pictures, convert it into a PDF and upload it back to the portal. It will be checked on the same day or maximum the next day. And then before the beginning of every class, we'll have a discussion on the assignments. So these assignments are important that we need to discuss. So let me start with a little basic about the first chapters and all that we will not be able to discuss again, and you can complete that in the backup classes. Just one or two things for the instruction of the class I want to give you three. See, when I am writing and I'm teaching, that time just put the pen down and understand carefully. I'll give you sufficient time depending on your speed, how much you have written, how much time do you want to take, whether it's batch, the whole batch is there or not. You can take as much time as you want, but understand first. Second, if you aren't able to understand any of the concept, just stop me in between. Okay, ask whatever you want to ask, just clarify your doubts in between also. You need not wait for me to finish, you can interrupt also. Chat box is there if you're unable to unmute yourself, or in fact you are hesitant about a question, then also you can use the chat box. I read all the messages. And in fact, after that also, your tests, assignments, they'll be discussed in the class itself. So if you have any doubts from there, you can clarify that. And in fact, if you're studying, self-studying at home and you have any trouble with any of the questions, so you can click the picture of it and share it with us on WhatsApp's LearnyView's number. So that will be shared with us and we'll provide you with a solution. But don't keep your doubts with you only, get them clarified. So just a little introduction. Is that fine if I just give a little introduction about what the chapter 1 to 5th say? Is that okay? Yes, class?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So see, in detail we'll do later, but just a bit. See, basically, in your NCERT, you have two books. Part 1 book is there and part 2 book. So I'm talking about the first book, which is Electromagnetics. This first book is completely, the whole book from your first chapter to the 8th chapter is the electromagnetics. It deals with that. Now, it is also divided into two parts. When we talk about electromagnetism, this is divided into two parts. First, you have electric charges and field. Electric charges and field. Second chapter we have is electric potential and capacitance. These are the first two chapters which are actually a part of the main topic, which is electrostatics. Then your chapter 3 is current electricity. Then chapter 4 is moving charges and magnetism. And 5th chapter is magnetism and matter. So further chapters I'll not discuss because the next is EMI itself. So these are the chapters which are already over. So as I told you, this is electrostatics and this part is known as electrodynamics. Now from the term, don't write anything anyone, I'll give you time to copy each and every word. From the term electrostatics, when we use the term electrostatics, electro refers to electric charges, while statics refers to something which is at rest. So electrostatics means all the charges are at rest. So here in the first two chapters, basically this deals with chapter 1 and chapter 2. We talk that our charge is zero, no velocity, it is not moving, it is completely at the state of rest. This is what we study in electrostatics. When charge isn't moving, it can give rise to various things. According to Coulomb's law, we have the forces, we have the electric field, we have the potential, And this is how it goes on. Okay, force, electric field, potential, and all. Lots of things are there. And then capacitance also comes, and capacitance energy, lots of things are there. That we'll not discuss right now. So that is what the chapter 1 and 2 talk about. Then you have current electricity. Current electricity is basically the chapter 3rd. Now, current electricity says that, okay, here in the first two chapters, you said the charges were at rest. So these were the various phenomena that occurred. Now, current electricity says that our charge is also in motion. So if we have Q as our charge, this with a certain velocity would be moving. And when the charge moves, it gives rise to current, the rate of change of charge, how much the charge is flowing. We basically say current is the rate of change of charge, dq over dt. In 1 second, how much charge is flowing. That is what we studied in current electricity. And other theory parts, resistance, resistivity, and everything. Then you had the chapter 4th. Now see, which was magnetic effects of electric current, basically. Actual name of the chapter is Moving Charges and Magnetism. Moving Charges and Magnetism, which is chapter 4. Now see, this chapter basically dealt with the fact that, okay, if there is a wire which is carrying a certain amount of current, then the question at that time was, will there be a presence of magnetic field or not? So it was observed that yes, magnetic field is observed at a distance from the current carrying wire. Basically, this chapter tells you everything about the magnetic effects of current. Magnetic effects of electric current. Okay, this talks about the magnetic effects of electric current. Like if current is existing in the system, there will be a presence of magnetic field. For this, we use the Biot-Savart law, we use different formula of the forces and all. This is there in the 4th chapter. And 5th chapter also deals with the magnetism part only. That you don't need to do. Chapter 4 and chapter 5th, I just put you. Now talking about the chapter electromagnetic induction. After this comes the chapter electromagnetic induction. Now this is your chapter 6th of NCERT. So see class, in this, before this chapter, the whole question was whether a current carrying wire will give rise to a magnetic field or not. That was the complete question the whole time. Later, it was proved that yes, magnetic field does exist. So it was questioned, okay, what if vice versa occurs? Means if I already have the magnetic field present. Okay, we have studied before this that current will lead to magnetic field, magnetism. That is what we have studied. We can also, the question that came in this chapter during this time of electromagnetic induction was, is the reverse possible? Like if we have the magnetic field with us, will it give rise to current? Now the reverse was observed. That's what this chapter is based on. It's a very short chapter, hardly 5 major topics are there. And eddy current and many things are already, LC oscillations, these are already deleted for you. So you need not to. It's a very short and a very easy scoring chapter. If you practice it properly, it's actually very easy to understand. So the question was whether the magnetic field will give rise to current or not. Answer to this was given by the scientist whose name was Faraday. And he concluded that the reverse is also possible. That magnetic field also can give rise to current. Now, how can we say this? For this, we need to understand one concept which is known as magnetic flux. So I'll start with magnetic flux, but before that, till here, the basic gist of The first book is clear to you till chapter 5th?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Kotsia, to you too?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So do one thing, just copy it till here, then we'll start with magnetic flux, because Faraday's laws you'll not be able to understand without magnetic flux. Just do one thing, when you all have written, just type a done in the chat box. Okay. So when all of you are done, I'll see. So accordingly, I'll then, yeah, you can type,
Okay.
chat box is enabled. Okay. Then when you all share, so accordingly, I'll scroll down the page. Please write it. Okay, then till here, all?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay, then Qudsiya, what about you? Done? Okay. See, I'll start with the topic magnetic flux, because as I told you, to understand the Faraday's law, and in general also magnetic flux is a topic. The way you have electric flux in electrostatics, you have magnetic flux. So what exactly is this magnetic flux? See, let's say I have a plane surface. Okay, this is a plane surface that I have. And there are few magnetic field lines that are moving across it. Okay, few magnetic field lines are there which are moving across it. So let's say this is one magnetic field line which moves, this is another magnetic field line, this is another, and like this lots and lots of magnetic field lines are moving. Now what I notice is few of them are making an angle of 90 degree with the plane surface. Means let's say if this is our plane of the coil is there, so like this, perpendicular to it. So I'm noticing few lines are making, let's say this is making an angle of 90 degree, this is making an angle of 90 degree, this is making an angle of 90 degree, and this is making an angle of 90 degree like this. Now what exactly is magnetic flux? See, magnetic flux actually is the number of magnetic field lines which are crossing a surface area normally. Normally means perpendicularly. Normally term we use for normal is for 90 degree. So number of field lines, like if I count it, one, this is perpendicular, so that's one. This is two, this is three, this is four. So I will say my flux is equal to 4. And what is its definition? The number of magnetic field lines, the number of magnetic field lines crossing a plane surface normally. Normally, as this term is introduced, we know it is 90 degree. Okay, so the number of field lines that are crossing. But see class, is this possible every time? Like I give you the number of field lines and I just ask you what is the magnetic flux in every case. It's very difficult class. Look here. What if I don't know the number of field lines? Here it was very clear and easy. A very small number was present. We had a very small number. 4 field lines were there. 1, 2, 3, 4 could be written. So this is not possible all the time. What if my field is variable then? So for such a case, we require a formula. We cannot solve this without a form. So see, the formula is also very simple if you understand. Let's say this is the plane surface. Okay, it's a plane. When I'm making it like this, I hope you're getting it, class. See, if I write something, if I put something like this plane is your XY plane. Look, Y axis, X axis. So X, Y plane. If I put something like this, the way I have shown it in the screen, I have shown it on the screen. This is your Y, Z axis. And this one is your X, Z axis. So this is basically this one, like this. This is how I'm showing it, like this. That is Y and X. Okay. So that's why I'm making it a little tilted. Let's say the magnetic field line here is B. What is B? B is the magnetic field. Let's say B is the magnetic field. And we'll have to assume a surface area. Let's say the surface area is S, or let's take it as A. So A is the surface area. Surface area of the sheet, okay, this plane. This is the surface area. Magnetic field is there. This is the surface area present. Now see, what do you do here? We never take any angle with the plane. Even if magnetic field is making a certain angle, like this is my plane, And this is how magnetic field is put. So you can see there is an angle that has been formed here. You never take this angle. Then which angle you have to consider? What do you have to do? First step that you have to do is drop a perpendicular. Remember, for calculation of magnetic flux, you need to drop a perpendicular. So if I drop a perpendicular here, this is represented as n cap. What is n cap? N cap is basically our area vector. When I say area vector means this is just perpendicular. And now the angle that you will be considering would be this angle theta. What is theta? Theta is angle between the magnetic field B and the area vector n cap. Okay, so this is sometimes in the question you will be given this angle. You'll have to subtract it from 90 degree and get this angle. Theta only has to be put. Okay, B is the magnetic field, A is the surface area, n cap is the area vector. Area vector means this is the plane surface, just drop a perpendicular to it. That's it. This is your area vector in every plane. And then take the angle with the magnetic field. Drawing this area vector is compulsory. Now, what exactly is the formula of this magnetic flux? The magnetic flux is B dot A. Any idea about the electric flux? What was Gauss law, class? Anyone who can just tell me the formula only, don't tell me the statement. Just the formula of Gauss law. Nobody? Somebody must be remembering it. Gauss law. It was related to charge. Try to recall, try to think. Charge was used in the Gauss law. Yes, anyone? Halima, you try. Lubna. Q by epsilon.
Q
Not
by
very good.
epsilon.
Yes, correct. See, magnetic flux, electric flux was epsilon naught. See, 1 by epsilon naught times the charge which is enclosed. And one more formula. See, this was the Gauss law, absolutely right. But if we have another formula was E dot A also. Electric field dot areas cross product, dot product. So here also we have B dot A as our formula. This is our formula. B is the magnetic field, A is the area. So we can say B A cos theta is the formula. And this is the theta. This is the exact place where you have to put this theta. So you need to be very careful. You need to just drop a perpendicular and just take this angle. If this angle is not given, let's say this angle is given. So you subtract 90 degree, but put this angle only. Don't change the other angle. And flux is a scalar quantity. Flux is a scalar quantity. When I say scalar quantity, what is the meaning of this? Scalars, vectors, I hope you know the difference. Basic difference all of you must be knowing.
Yes, ma'am.
Does not have directions.
Vectors have directions, yes. And scalars do not have, correct. Scalars do not have directions. Vectors have directions. And not only just that. See, in class, you are in class 12th. You have studied current electricity. We know one thing. Electric current has a direction. Electric current has a magnitude. Yet it is not included under vectors. This is a scalar quantity. Reason is that not just two conditions are sufficient, direction or magnitude. Definitely these are there, but apart from these two, there is one more condition, that it has to follow vector laws. A quantity to be called as a vector has to obey the vector laws. So when I talk about the SI unit is Weber, written as WP. Okay, this is Weber and this is written as WP. So I'm quickly discussing it, what I have discussed with you. And if there's any trouble with any of the things, please stop. What is magnetic flux? Basically the number of magnetic field lines. These are magnetic field lines that are crossing an area normally. Normally means if this is the surface, this is the normal, making an angle of 90 degree. So you count them 1, 2, 3, 4. That gives the value of the flux. You can put a B also to distinguish it, but here we are only referring to, or in fact, I'll just put a B. Magnetic flux you should write and represent with the help of the B symbol. Okay, so the number of field lines which are crossing area normally, formula is simply B dot A, BA cos theta. In fact, one more formula I'll tell you. If you find it very variable, magnetic field is variable or the surface area is variable, so magnetic flux you can write as integral of B dot A also. That will also be correct, just in case if you need it. Okay, so it's a scalar quantity. SI unit is Weber, represented as WB. Now tell me one thing, all of you. Have you understood this concept? Magnetic fields concept is clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay, great then. Please copy down this part as well. Class done till here, SI unit?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Let's see this question. This says magnetic field of 2 Tesla exists in space. It is inclined at 30° with the plane. Calculate the magnetic flux through it if the area is this. Means we have the magnetic field as 2 Tesla. We have the surface area given as 10 meters square, formula based question. Now, if I have to calculate the flux, I'll use B dot A because area is, see, neither the area is variable nor the magnetic field. So we can directly use B dot A, which is equal to BA cos theta. Yes, magnetic field is 2, area is 10. Yes, what is the value of theta that I should put? Theta, value of theta. Yes, Halima, were you trying? What do you think? What is the angle? What should I write here? Cos what?
Cos 60.
Cos 60°. Perfect. See, look, the magnetic field makes an angle of 30° with the plane. Now we have already discussed, we don't take the plane angle, correct? So we have dropped the perpendicular, that is our area vector, and we consider this angle that is present between them. So total normal is making an angle of 90°. 30 is already occupied between magnetic field and the plane. So how much is left? 60°. So here this will be cos 60°. That's what is important in this question, which you should know. Otherwise, it's a completely formula based simple question. Because many students write this as cos 30, which makes it root 3 by 2. Answer is different. This is simply half. 2 will be cancelled. 10 Weber will be there. One or two more questions. Let's practice. First, you okay? Or before writing, before you all write this down, just one thing I wanted to ask one by one. Halima, let's start with you. How do you find physics of class 12? Like, how are you finding it? Fine, moderate, you're having difficulty with numericals, difficulty with application. What's your review?
Sometimes I do have difficulty with numericals.
Numericals. Fine. Okay.
Yeah.
Concepts you're able to understand?
Yes, ma'am. Concepts is fine.
Okay. And is the score also fine in physics?
Yes, ma'am.
It's okay. Okay, all right. No, I just wanted to know because your exams are approaching, so you all should be trained accordingly. What about you, Lubna?
Yes, ma'am. It's easy, but then so many derivations, so I get confused between the derivations.
Okay, you find the derivations difficult. Lubna, we'll provide you with the derivations separately, all the important derivations together. Okay, sooner
Mm.
we'll provide you with that, and revision test sheet
Okay.
also will
Okay.
give where important derivations will be there, because derivations can be confusing. But one thing, Lubna, it's very scoring. It will, because you are sure that this is what you have to write. Okay, so try to cope up with derivations. What about you, Kutsia?
Mm. Yes, ma'am. I do get confused in derivations.
Derivations. You also have a
Yes.
trouble with derivations. Okay. So we'll share derivations with both of you. In fact, all of you itself. And for the numericals, let's see, I just wanted to take a light review about how you all are finding physics so that I can help accordingly. And let me know your syllabus also for your exams, so that we can look up in that direction. Okay, so we can arrange your extra classes and all. Please now copy down this question, then I'll do one more question with you. Yes, have you all written till the first question? Others also?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So, see, the second question says what? Now, instead of the direct magnetic fields value, like 2 Tesla, 3 Tesla and all, it has given you the Cartesian form. So it says magnetic field is 10 I cap plus 3 J cap plus K cap. Okay, this is what the magnetic field is given. It says calculate flux through an area of 2 meters square in YZ plane. Now class, 2 meters square is the surface area, we agree. If I write down its surface area, it will be 2. But area, how do I put the units now? Or how do I put the unit vector? I cannot solve 2 and this in Cartesian form and this in the polar form. This isn't possible. Either this has to be converted or this. Now we don't know any angle. We know nothing about the magnetic field. We just know that this is what is given in the Cartesian form. So if we know the Cartesian form, we can just put it as it is. We'll have to convert the area. Now look class, it says this area is there in the YZ plane. When I talk about the YZ plane means this is your Y axis while this is the Z axis. YZ plane. Now class, what did we discuss? The first step that you have to use is drop an area vector. Class, without area vector, don't solve these questions of magnetic flux and electric flux. Electric and magnetic flux both will require the concept of area vector, okay? In electric flux also, phi E, and magnetic flux also phi B. Now see class, Y, Z are there. If you drop an area vector here, tell me where do you think will the area vector point? Which axis according to you? If this is my plane surface, where will the area vector go? Which axis?
Mm,
Uh, which axis, Kotsia, what were you answering?
Axis.
Y axis. Your voice
Yes.
your voice is cutting. Just type it in the chat box. And Halima, what were you answering? Halima and Lubna?
the taxes.
Axis.
Z axis. Okay. Halima, same Z axis?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Kotsia, you just type which axis you were saying. Your voice got cut in between. X-axis, correct. C, x-axis, others. Look, area vector means you are taking something which is perpendicular. If this is my YZ and I drop a perpendicular, where is this pointing? This is pointing towards the x-axis only. Okay, so she is right. Look here. This will point towards the x-axis. Okay, y-axis, z-axis, and this is where your area vector is lying. This is the n cap. So n cap unit vector for x-axis is I cap. This is my question now. What I'll have to do for the flux, I'll use B dot A. B is 10 I cap plus 3 J cap plus K cap. Dot, what is the area vector now? 2 I cap, that's it. Now look class, 10 multiplied to 2 plus 3 into 0, 1 into 0. So you just get 20 Webers as the final answer. Tell me, did you understand now how to solve it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Please copy down this question as well, class. And if there's anything you want to ask, please ask. Write it, update me once done. Yes, I'll tell you. Look, our plane, the question says area is in the YZ plane. So I have drawn it in the YZ plane. Look, Y axis and Z axis. All right, now when we solve, which axis should we put here? Reason is that you have to take an area vector, and area vector is always perpendicular to the plane. So if I take a perpendicular line, it will point towards the x-axis only, because y is occupied, z is occupied. So which is the perpendicular to yz? That's x. That's why I have taken x-axis. Okay. Halima, is it clear? Okay, all right. Qudsiya, done. And what about others? Lubna and Halima?
Done, ma'am.
Done. Have you also written? Halima Afshin?
Yes, ma'am. Have written.
Okay, all right. So, class, I'll stop here. Already the time is also up, and I'll have to pray Maghrib here. Very little time is left. Okay, so I'll stop here. In the next class, we'll continue. And if you want to study another topic or you have any other syllabus or anything, please update me. But I think we should continue from here only in the next class. All right? Is there anything
Okay.
you want to ask? Anyone? All clear?
Should I send the syllabus?
Yeah, please share it on WhatsApp with us. It will be very good if you have the syllabus.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you so much, class. All right. Allah Hafiz. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
Bye,
you,
ma'am.
ma'am.